Hi, it's Tansel here. Now today I'm going to show you how to better memorize and remember abstract words. So let's go. Now if you like this channel, please subscribe and it'll really help me out. So thank you very much for that. Now what are abstract words? Abstract words are words that you generally can't create images straight away in your head for. So for example, words like creativity or knowledge, right? These are words that are, they're describing something, they're giving a scenario, but they're not necessarily giving a particular image that's in your head. So for example, if you said a noun like a chair, well, you can usually visualize what a chair looks like. However, you said creativity, then there's many associations for it. Now, why is this a problem? Many people, when they read, they actually read a lot of abstract words, right? There's a lot of abstract words in a lot of what we read and a lot of information that comes our way. So the difficulty there is if we don't have images for these abstract words, or if we can't process them in a way that makes them memorable for us, then obviously the other case is that you're not going to be able to either remember or understand what those words really mean. I get a lot of inspiration from my coaching clients, and a lot of the time, a lot of people just say, look, Tansel, I'm having difficulty with abstract words. What I want to do today is I want to show you a particular strategy that really helps out to be able to visualize and encode abstract words a lot better, and therefore helping you with your memorization and recall. Now let's go through some examples, right? I mentioned earlier the word creativity. It can be difficult to connect an image to your head straight away. So what you need to be able to do is you need to create some sort of an image association to that word, right? And usually the first thing that comes into your mind is generally the strongest, but the more and more you play around with it, then it becomes a lot stronger as well. I'll give you an example. Let's say creativity. Now, what comes to my mind is I can think of Albert Einstein, right, with his wacky hair. So what I've done is I have created an image, connected it to creativity, right? Other people usually have like artist painting. That could be creativity. It could be creativity in the workplace, right? Innovating. It could be creativity in music and so on. So whatever context you put creativity in, that's the image that you can create. Let's look at another word. How about knowledge? Right? I use knowledge a lot in my videos and in my blogs and coaching as well, because that's the area I work in. So how do you visualize knowledge? Now you can think of a book, right? There's a lot of knowledge in that. You can think of a knowledgeable person, right? So all you're really doing is trying to create an image with those words, right? An image, and that image becomes a placeholder, right? Something that stays there to reference the abstract word. Let's look at another word. How about the word talent? What could you do for the word talent? Right? Write it down in the comments below. Let's see what sort of images come to your mind when you think of talent, right? When people are memorizing the word talent, usually what comes up is, okay, what can I think of for talent? What comes to my mind? For those creative people, generally those creative people come up with a whole lot of ideas, but not everyone is super creative. So memory training helps you to become creative, and therefore once you are able to encode into images, you get better and better at it. Hence, you become more creative. So the word talent, what have you come up with it? Write it down below. What I have for talent is I actually used to work for a company called Talent 2. They were a recruitment company. So I have that as an image in my head, the recruitment company. But I could also think of athletic talent because I follow sports. And a lot of the sports people that I follow, they're highly talented. Right? I can think of musicians as well, musical talents. So the more and more I think about the word talent, the more I can actually dig in and put more information into that word. Right? So if I was to memorize the word talent, I'd have to say, okay, which talent is coming into my head first? I'll say, okay, talent 2. It's a workplace. So now I've got that placeholder for talent 2. Now I can connect that to either a location or to a previous word, however you're memorizing that word. And I can use my workplace as an example, right? Let's take another example. And this is a word I actually picked up from one of my memory mind mapping workshops I did back in 2003. A year later, after I got into memory, I did a whole bunch of workshops, and this was one of the words that sort of hit me. I'm like, whoa, how do I do this? And the word is hibernation. If you don't know what that word is, look it up. But if you know what hibernation is, you can sort of think, okay, what comes into my mind for hibernation? You know, write it down. Write down in the comments what comes to your mind when you think of hibernation. All we have to do is come up with an image. Remember, placeholder for hibernation. For me, hibernation, I could have sleep. Some people have bears for hibernation, as in bears hibernating. Doesn't matter what image you come up with, it's more about how you connect that image. And that's the most important thing, because if you just have hibernation, you read that word, you read a whole bunch of abstract words and you move along, I can guarantee most of the time you probably will go back and reread. How many of you go back and reread certain phrases and sentences? This essentially does eliminate to a certain degree of going back and rereading, but it helps you to understand and remember, because this is what it's all about. It's about memorization of those words. So if you make that word memorable, it's going to be easier to recall, isn't it? So hibernation, I'm sleeping, right? I'm hibernating and I'm going to wake up thousands of years of time, or whatever you put, right? You can make it. Remember, we're using our imagination. So the deeper you go into your imagination, the more colorful, the vibrant you make it, the easier you'll remember that word as well. I'm going to use stress. A ton of people stress out, right? Or you could be stressing out. You think, okay, what is stress? If you were to visualize stress, what would it look like? Now, the easiest thing to do here would be to go into your own experience and think, okay, I'm going to think of a stressful situation. Whenever you involve your own personal self and emotions into a story, into memorization, then it becomes way more memorable because you can feel it, you can sense it. If you visualize it in third person, that chair, right, or that person's experience, then what's going to happen is you're not going to feel, that thing in your heart. Remember, words don't just go into the brain. If you connect it to the heart as well, heart and brain, that's when you can do some amazing things with memory. Stress. What does it look like for you? What is the image of stress? Yes, you can feel stress, but what is the image? Think about that. I want you to write that down in the comments if you can. What is the image of stress for you? What does it look like? Is it working really hard at work and feeling stressed? Is it being told what to do continuously? Have you got toxic people around you? Do you feel stressed? Are you in a stressful environment? Do you feel stressed because you don't have much money? Do you feel stressed because you're in pain or you're feeling sick? Do you feel stressed because of your wife or someone, right? So you can visualize and create an image that fits the word stress. Do you see where I'm getting at? So you need to be able to create an image. Once you have the image, then you can start to play around with it. And we talked about that. The deeper you go into the word, the more memorable it becomes. Now, how do you make that word memorable? The abstract word I'm talking about. Let's say, and I'm going to pick another word here. Let's say we use the word experience, right? Another abstract word. The image that I have in my mind is, let's say I'm going to pick an older person in their 50s, 60s. For me, that resembles experience. That's my image. Now, how do I make that image more memorable? I can use what I call the attributes of that image. So an old person, what are their attributes? That person could have white hair, right? Gray hair, experience. They could be experienced in their own field. They could have a suit and tie. They could be an experienced, say, lawyer. They could be experienced in many other facets of life. And that's what I add in to my image. If I said the word knowledge, you might think of me, well, hopefully, right? Or you could think of a book, right? Let's say you think of a book for knowledge. Then what you have to do is you have to say, okay, what does this book look like? Is it really big? Is it really thick book? What sort of pages does it have? Can I touch it, taste it, feel it? We're making the image more memorable. So we've come from something that's totally abstract to an image, and now we're making that image a lot more bigger and brighter, accentuating the attributes of that image. If you do these two things, you'll be able to slowly get better and better at working out how to deal with abstract words. If you keep doing this, then eventually you get better and better. And if you get better, then what you can do is start visualizing groups of words together, groups of abstract phrases and sentences. Now that's another level altogether. And I think we'll get into that in further videos, but that's the level that you get to once you start being able to encode and visualize abstract words. You look at law or contracts, terms and conditions. We generally skip them, right? Why do we skip them? Because it's so abstract and boring and dry. If you were just sitting there visualizing those groups of words that are really boring and making them memorable, guess what's going to happen? You're going to actually understand everything, and you'll probably end up enjoying reading that contract or terms of agreement or whatever it is. So that's the power of memory. That's the power of visualization. So what I'd like you to take away from this video is, number one, create an image for your abstract word as best as you can. And then number two is, once you have that image, try and make it more memorable by adding, all your senses or your feelings, imagine yourself in it if you can, and try and, spend time working on it, make it bigger and bigger. That's it for me for today. If you want to train abstract words, I really do suggest going onto my website. There's a link down below where you can actually download words that are sort of half abstract, half not. I'll put a link down below, as well as some other videos that you might want to check out as well on training a memory. If you do have any questions, feel free to comment down below or message me on my website. Like if you like this video, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.